News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
It's now 4:05 as we begin KVNU's For the People show on this Friday afternoon. I'm Will Feelwright with your local headlines. Well, the William A. Bernard Warming Center closed for the season on April 11th, and that forced dozens of unhoused residents into tents after they declined bus tickets out of town. Now, Executive Director Heather Crockett said that the center, which is located at St. John's Episcopal Church, had frequently reached its 45-person nightly maximum this winter, sheltering over 775 more people this year than last year. Now, when the seasonal facility closed, clients were offered a tent or a bus ticket to Ogden, with all of them choosing a tent. Now, Crockett said it broke her heart to turn those people loose into the community. Crockett noted that many Cache Valley clients differ from other homeless populations. Several hold jobs but cannot afford housing, while others are families or elderly individuals with medical issues. Now, with the center now closed, Crockett plans to distribute food to local encampments while advocating for a larger, permanent facility that would be equipped with showers, laundry, and a commercial kitchen. Meanwhile, Corey Richens, the Utah mother recently convicted of murdering her husband, is now asking a judge to delay her sentencing. Now, Richens was convicted back on March 16th of aggravated murder and 4 other charges for fatally poisoning her husband, Eric, with fentanyl in 2022. Now, she later gained national attention for publishing a children's book about grief. Now, her sentencing is currently scheduled for May 13th, which would have been Eric Richens' 44th birthday. Now, defense attorneys, though, have asked for more time and requested that the sentencing be moved to June 15th. Now, the court filing cites the need for more time to prepare mitigation evidence, an attorney's scheduling conflict, and also a recent death in another attorney's family. Now, the defense is also requesting a full day for the hearing to allow family and witnesses to address the court. Now, prosecutors have formally opposed the delay. Richens faces 25 years to life or life without the possibility of parole for the murder conviction, alongside additional prison time for forgery and insurance fraud. And finally, 2 19-year-old men are facing criminal charges after allegedly assaulting Salt Lake police officers during an immigration protest that happened back in January. Now, Hayden Cockero of Park City and also Ben Green of North Salt Lake were each part of a large crowd that were blocking the roadway at 150 South and State Street in Salt Lake City during a national shutdown demonstration that happened in January, according to court documents. Now, both were later arrested and are now facing charges. Well, we're looking at a beautiful weekend weather forecast, but it has still been a little chilly today. Temperatures have only been in the mid-40s. Tonight, we're going to be back into the mid-20s, so another cold night tonight as we're going to see those hard freeze warnings going into effect. Tomorrow, though, warming up into the 50s and then 70s returning on Sunday, mid-70s for the first of next week. And weather this hour brought to you by LSS Insurance. If you're overwhelmed about Medicare rules and regulations and have questions, LSS Insurance can walk you through every option available to you at zero cost. Give them a call at 752-9493 for LSS Insurance. And I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU local headlines.
Do you have a nasty weed problem? We have the right person for you. Sir, you work for Logan Extermination, don't you? Can you help these folks get rid of pesky dandelions?
Of course I can help. I am the Terminator. I will terminate those little yellow devils in your yard. Call me at Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
Spring special. Terminate your weeds and green up your yard for only $40, based on maximum 5,000 square foot or less.
Where you find out. News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
We're out here at the Spring Open House at Anderson Seed and Garden. Continues till 6 o'clock tonight in downtown Logan and all day tomorrow. And it also even kind of extends into next week, too. We're here with Mark Anderson, and next week I understand you're doing a special event.
Yeah, so every spring we do our Spring Fling planting event, and that event fills up really quickly. We've got a lot of people that are excited about it. And basically what you do is you come in, you pick out the flowers that you want to put in your planters. You bring with you anywhere between 1 to 6 planters, and we will provide the soil to fill your planters with. You purchase the flowers to go in there, and then we'll plant them up for free for you. So we call it our Spring Fling planting event, and we do the labor. We provide the soil. You pick out all the flowers. We'll pot them up for you, and we'll even load them back up in your car for you when we're all done. So it's a really great event. Kind of gives us an opportunity to give a little bit back to our customers, and you get your planters planted professionally and ready to go for the season.
But you do need to sign up in advance for this, and that's the key.
Right. The first few years we did it, it was kind of first come, first serve, and we had like huge long lines. And so now you have to register for it. We have times throughout the day where you can pick a time that's convenient for you. You sign up, you register, and we've got it on our website where you can go in and register there. Or if you come into the store, you can just like scan the QR code, and it'll take you right to our little spreadsheet that we've got there, and you can pick the time to participate. And then, like, say you pick 10:30 for your time next Saturday. You would come in at, like, say, 10 o'clock, spend some time figuring out what flowers you want. I'll have helpers here to help you figure out which ones are going to be the best ones. So we'll even almost hold your hand for you while you're picking out your plants. And then at 10:30, you'll be ready to go. You just go to your assigned station, whether it's 1 or 6 or anywhere in between, and then they'll be ready for you. They'll help you pot up all your stuff, and off you go.
So it's a great event, and it's all coming up next week, but you want to sign up in advance so you can come down to Anderson Seed and Garden this week during the spring open house, and they'll help you get signed up. It's happening through tomorrow, downtown Logan at 69 West Center. Don't miss it.
KVNU's For the People with Jason Williams and Bill Walter.
And it is Utah known as the fraud capital of the world. Not because we have more people committing fraud, but because we have so many people falling for it.
Going beneath the headlines and connecting you to the newsmakers.
The radio is a great way to get the word out to a lot of people in an emergency. So we thank you for your help and being a partner with us.
For the People on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, online at 610kvnu.com, and on the KVNU mobile app.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Friday, April 17th, 41 degrees here at the Radio Ranch, 4:12 in the afternoon. I'm Jason Williams. Thank you for tuning in. I don't have a cold. I'm allergic to everything blowing around in the air. It's winter. It's hay fever season. It's spring. We had a couple of days where a little bit of summer. Today we had sunshine and green on the valley floor most of the day, and winter in the mountains and the canyons. It's just welcome to Utah. It's wild out there. So I have to layer when I leave the house. Couple of interesting things to get to today ahead of the For the People movie show. On the movie show today, we've got a kind of a break in new stuff coming. But we've got some catching up to do, and also a preview of the early start of summer movie season, which actually kicks off next weekend. But we will be talking about the new Michael Jackson biopic, Sheep Detectives, Devil Wears Prada 2, Mandalorian and Grogu, with a new trailer out today. And Andy has a review of not to be confused with the Brendan Fraser or Tom Cruise Mummy movies, Lee Cronin's The Mummy. We joked about this last week. They've put Lee Cronin's The Mummy as the title so that people might take a quick look at who Lee Cronin is and go, oh, okay, this is a horror movie. You don't want to stumble into this one thinking you're seeing the latest... Brendan Fraser or Tom Cruise version of The Mummy. This is Lee Cronin, who is a famous horror movie director, director of Evil Dead Rise, the gross, lots of fake blood, demon-oriented horror movie styles, basically. But he's made this one. And Andy will have a review. That's coming up at 5 o'clock in the For the People movie show. Speaking of movies, we'll also talk about this a little bit during the movie show, but I wanted to let listeners out there know that it's happening if you want to put it on your calendar. But USU students are hosting a film festival that is going to be at the Utah Theater, a 2-day event of sorts. This is 1 week from today, Friday the 24th, and Saturday the 25th in the daytime. The reason people might be interested, Saturday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., USU students will be putting their films on display, films in categories like documentary, music videos, vertical videos. That means, someone just held their phone the normal way and filmed something, turned it into a 15-minute movie. Narrative features, so lengthier, hour-long, even hour-and-a-half-long features, and experimental art house and animation. Those are the categories for this film festival. It's 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Utah Theater next Saturday. But the night before that, to kick off this 2026 Student Short Film Festival from Utah State University at the Utah Theater, and again, this is all free. They're kicking things off Friday night with a public screening, again free, at 7 p.m. Friday night, April 24th, of Napoleon Dynamite. So if you've never had a chance to see this film in the theater with an audience, it's a lot more fun that way. Trust me. I saw it first at Sundance when it premiered there that year, and then when it got a theatrical release, I went with a bunch of friends. This is a movie that is way more fun if you're with an audience, laughing along and commenting, a little Mystery Science Theater action kind of, as this reached cult classic status. So Napoleon Dynamite, 7 p.m., 1 week from today, April 24th at the Utah Theater. And then the next day, Saturday, April 25th, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., they'll be screening these student short films from Utah State University students. So we'll talk about this a little bit in hour two, the role of these film festivals. The question being, this is a question that even the Sundance Film Festival has grappled with. I've attended a few panels during the film festival the last 2 or 3 years in a row, where the conversation is basically, does a film festival have a place in this digital era when people can film something with $500 worth of equipment and have it available for rent or purchase for 99 cents an episode on Amazon by that afternoon, when they can, working through their own investors and funders and production team, make a film and then sell it to Netflix, or get Netflix in advance to pay to make the film. It raises some questions about the role of the film festival, which was basically a film festival is to highlight films that might not necessarily be seen if the only outlet you've got are the major studios in Hollywood. In the digital era, the major studios in Hollywood are no longer the gatekeepers at all. So does the film festival have a place? Well, USU students decided to prove that they believe, yes, it does, because it gives an opportunity for them to actually put their short films, student-made short films, on the big screen in an actual theater and put them before groups, audiences, rather than just a streaming service into someone's living room. So get out and support this, is what I'm trying to say. I haven't seen a thing that will be aired or that will be screened during the film festival a week from this Saturday. I don't know if they're good, bad. I do know they're putting a warning on some, saying, this is there's not a rating system here, and some of the content might not be appropriate for all audiences. They're putting that warning up there, but it is a chance to get out and see documentaries, student narrative films, full length, and also short versions, which means anything from 10 to 20 minutes, and see it with an audience. And again, the night before, kicking off the Student Film Festival at 7 p.m. at the Utah Theater, again, free, Napoleon Dynamite. And a lot of the filmmakers I've heard will be attending. So, all right, there are your quick announcements film-wise. Andy Morgan will be with us a bit early today here in hour one, and we'll kick off the For the People movie show after a little bit early today. And before that, we're going to talk about the latest scandal in Utah. But I have to tell you, this is maybe the third time in 12 months that I've watched our state leadership, and unfortunately this time it does include someone who is usually savvy enough to stay out of these pratfalls, Governor Cox. Governor Cox, President Stuart Adams, and House Speaker Mike Schultz in one of the most embarrassing, contrived attempts to undermine the judicial branch for ruling against them 3 times in a row in constitutional questions presented to the state Supreme Court and other courts. An attempt to embarrass the courts that I'll describe it to you after honestly, I have, since I read this article this morning, I've experienced nothing but secondhand embarrassment for our state, quote, leaders. This has to stop. The details of this supposed judicial scandal right after this.
Earth Week is here all week long. April 20 to 25th, Valley Recycling is paying top dollar for scrap metal, aluminum cans, old cars, appliances, and steel. Drop it off and get paid cash. Enjoy free snacks, food, and loads of prizes and amazing giveaways too numerous to mention. Come join the fun at Valley Recycling at 145 North 10th West in Logan. All week long, April 20th to the 25th, just bring it in and get cash. Visit valleyrecycling.com for details.
When it comes to your ear, nose, and throat care, you deserve expert treatment from a board-certified physician. I'm Dr. Andrew Goetz with Intermountain Budge ENT Clinic. Along with my partner, Dr. Matt Wilson, we provide comprehensive medical and surgical care, creating personalized treatment plans that fit you. With seamless coordination between specialties at Budge Clinic, your care is truly connected. Our convenient online platform makes scheduling and communication easy. Call Budge Clinic ENT today, 435-716-1420. Local care with Intermountain expertise.
Spring revives everything. Your weekend plans, your sense of adventure, and your drive. If you've been putting off that upgrade, this is the moment to get behind the wheel of something new. Come experience the Revive and Drive event today at Murdoch Volkswagen. This month, receive 0% for 5 years on a new Atlas or lease a new Jetta for $299 per month. You've got to come and see us at Murdoch Volkswagen in Logan or online at murdochvw.com.
Call 888-391-6083 or see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 4/30/26.
Do you have a fireplace or stove that isn't working right? Why wait until next winter to get it fixed? Get ahead of the game and get your fireplace or stove serviced now by Advanced Fireplace and Stove. They service everything from Quadra-Fire pellet stoves to heat and glow fireplaces. Get a 20% discount on your next service and labor when you mention this ad. Call 752-7272 or go to advancedfireplaceandstove.com. Advanced Fireplace and Stove, where comfort is their business.
I'm Jay Sallin, founder of Allen Law. My focus has always been helping families protect what matters most through meaningful estate planning. I've now joined forces with attorney mediator Chris Guyman of the Conflict Resolution Center and seasoned litigator Sam Goebel to form the Allies Law Firm. Whether you're planning ahead, resolving marital conflict, or facing a courtroom battle, we bring strategy, strength, and experience together under one roof. Because when it matters most, you deserve the Allies Law Firm. Call the Allies Law Firm today. We plan, we fight, you win.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. This story is, all right, I'm officially at, let's all write our lawmakers and just tell them to stop. Just knock it off. Just be normal. Do your jobs and stop this. And I'm especially looking at some of our Cache Valley lawmakers who are in leadership that might actually have some influence to stop this embarrassment. So what is the story? Last night, big breaking news, scandalous. Stuart Adams, Senate President, Speaker of the House Mike Schultz, and unfortunately, he usually is savvy enough to stay out of these things, Governor Spencer Cox, in a joint statement announcing that they were launching an investigation into a state Supreme Court justice. Diana Hagan. Some background on this. It's no mystery or no secret that the legislature has been their feathers are still pretty ruffled over the courts 3 times in a row, 2 years back to back, but 3 separate challenges in a row from the public, from good government groups. Basically, they were caught trying to fib to us on the ballot with deceptive ballot language. The Supreme Court said, you can't do that. People need to know what they're actually voting for or against, especially if you're suggesting we amend the Constitution. Senate President Stuart Adams, House Speaker Mike Schultz, a bit humbled a bit for a moment, said, all right, fine, yeah. And they said, okay, we'll stop writing our own ballot language. We'll let the attorneys do it like we used to, which was always a good idea. It was never a good idea for the political leaders to write their own ballot language. As you saw, the first time they got the opportunity to do that, after they gave themselves that power via the legislative session, they overreached. Didn't even take twice, just once. And they tried to lie to voters. The court said you can't do that. You've got to be honest with voters, especially if you're proposing a constitutional amendment. The whole thing ended up stricken from the ballot. That was Amendment D a couple of ballots ago. They're going to be bringing that one back, by the way, so keep an eye on their ballot language. Then after that, there was a challenge, the first challenge on Prop 4, in which the state Supreme Court basically said you can't just ignore voters. The Constitution provides for the ballot initiative process for voters to create law or hold the legislature accountable or even repeal laws the legislature passes they don't like. There are rules set by the legislature for number of signatures collected from a certain number of the 29 Senate districts in the state, 26. And it's a high hurdle, and it should be. I like that. I've said that many times. I don't think it should be any easier to get a ballot initiative question on the ballot. But they lost in court. The court said, look, voters approved Proposition 4, the Independent Redistricting Commission, in 2018, and you can't just pretend that didn't happen, which is what the legislature was trying to do. That made them mad. So they appealed and they pushed it. And then finally, the court said, look, draw new maps that meet the guidelines in Proposition 4, which is clearly what voters wanted. An independent, nonpartisan political boundary drawing process for state, house, and Senate, for congressional seats, school districts, and more. So the legislature went back to the drawing board, drew a map, still gerrymandered. Court said, all right, clock's run out. This has to be done in time for ballots to be printed next year. This was last fall. And the judge picked one of the 3 maps that had been submitted by the successful plaintiffs based on the guidelines of Prop 4. The legislature, of course, very angry about that. And they have been looking for ways, both in the legislative session, there were several bills meant to take power from the judiciary, supposedly a co-equal branch of government. Well, the legislature is doing everything they can to chip away at their power because they're so mad they got told no. And this is the latest attempt. This is actually worse, in a way, than the legislative process attempts, because this is an attempt just to undermine the credibility of the courts, while in a statement saying what they're doing is actually trying to maintain trust in our institutions. That's the last line in the actual statement. What is it? Well, they announced this investigation into Supreme Court Justice Diana Hagan. The allegations are that she had a relationship with an attorney, not a romantic relationship, just a friendship. The allegations are that she was friends with an attorney who was arguing cases before the high court, including working on the redistricting case. The allegations were detailed in a complaint that was submitted last year to both the Chief Justice Matthew Durant and a legislatively creative judicial review commission called the Judicial Conduct Commission. The Chief Justice and the Judicial Conduct Commission, which, by the way, is populated by people the legislature put on the commission, so it's their review commission, found there was nothing to this whatsoever. KSL actually, through a public records request, was able to find out that the whole meat of this is a provo-based attorney said Hagan's ex-husband, the justice, her ex-husband, told him at work that they texted and were friendly with attorney David Ryman and his wife and family. that they'd even gone on social outings, group family social outings. And he was one of the attorneys involved in the redistricting case. And scandalous, right? Well, there's a problem. One, Hagan recused herself from the redistricting case entirely. She wasn't a part of it. So being friends with one of the attorneys that was working on the case, while I think a justifiable reason for a judicial conduct review, if there was a complaint submitted, which there was, is not scandalous, especially when the review by Judicial Conduct Commission, which is made up of lawmakers, appointees of the governor, old retired judges, the commission said there's nothing here. These two families were friends and had been for a long time, and when the case came before the court, she recused herself. Zero scandal. So the legislature trying to make a thing out of this to undermine the credibility of the judiciary because, again, they're mad. They got told no 3 times in a row for overreaching and ignoring the state constitution. And how dare the courts step in? It gets worse. Today, Deseret News got a statement from the Supreme Court that lays out the timeline on all of this. And the timeline basically says that the complaint was filed. Even the complainant said, I don't know if any of this is true. I just have been told that these two families are friends, and I know he's an attorney on the redistricting case, and she's a Supreme Court justice. The commission said that, the two families had a long-term friendship, and they did things collectively together, had been at each other's houses and backyards and things like that for barbecues, but that a judge knowing attorneys is not scandalous or unusual even or unethical in any way. And she did the right thing. She recused herself because one of the attorneys that would be presenting the case was a family friend. What's worse is that the Supreme Court today said, we didn't release these documents. In fact, the legislature's own statute written by the legislature that says they now must mount an investigation into this scandal says that the records and proceedings of the Judicial Conduct Commission are not public record. So someone leaked this to the Senate President or the Speaker of the House illegally based on the rules set by the Senate President and Speaker of the House's own legislative bodies, the Utah House and Senate, broke the law to leak this to them. They tried to turn it into a scandal, and within 24 hours it fizzled because the judge recused herself, and there's nothing wrong with a Supreme Court justice having friends. She and her husband have been friends with the attorney and his wife for a number of years, I guess, and I don't. There's no details on how close the friendship is, if they hang out every weekend, but they have gone and done stuff together. It sounds like the commission looked at everything, looked at text messages exchanged between the justice and her husband, the attorney and his wife, the four of them basically, and their kids at times, texting and group texts and things like that. They found nothing inappropriate. There's nothing unethical or wrong about a judge being friends with an attorney. And when he was working on a case that was going to come before her court, she did the right thing and recused herself. She wasn't a part of the deliberations or writing the ruling in any way, shape, or form. Absolute nothing burger of a scandal. And I am so embarrassed for the governor, the Speaker of the House, the Senate President. This is just beyond believable. They're so mad that the courts did their jobs and told them no when they overreached. You might not like the outcome. I personally, I don't think the map we ended up with for our congressional boundaries is the best one. But I do know the legislature had two to choose from when they got a chance to redraw them themselves in September. And there was one that was really good. And they chose one that was gerrymandered. Again, just kind of tempting fate. This all rests on the legislature's inflated ego, collectively. And normally I don't include our Cache Valley lawmakers in that criticism because they're usually not a part of the problem. And I don't think they are still. But it's time for them to step up and be a part of the solution. We all need to contact our lawmakers and say, all right, enough. We understand the legislature's collective ego is bruised. And they've been told no by the courts, and how dare the courts. And yes, that's too bad. But you know what? You're just going to have to put the big boy pants on and continue to do your job. I have been so embarrassed. I've been half laughing and half blushing on their behalf watching this play out over the last 24 hours. Again, this contrived, absolutely nothing of a scandal, and it implodes so quickly, and it just makes them look petty and small. Just do your jobs. Understand that you are not without checks and balances. We have 3 co-equal branches of government in Utah, just like we do at the federal level, for a reason. And it's getting really tiring watching the legislature throw a temper tantrum anytime either the executive or the judiciary branch tells them no, they can't, because there are rules. We'll be back with more of KVNU's For the People on the other side of these headlines with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. A vehicle smashed into the Arctic Circle restaurant in South Logan last night, but officials say that no one was injured in the incident. Now, the Logan City Fire Department responded to the collision just before 6:30. According to a statement from the fire department, neither the occupants of the vehicle nor anyone inside the business sustained injuries when the car struck the building. Now, Logan City Police Lieutenant Derek Dickey said the vehicle was being driven by an elderly customer, and as she was pulling into a parking stall, she accidentally pushed on the gas pedal instead of the brake, causing the car to accelerate into the building. Meanwhile, a 72-year-old man was killed and a juvenile was hospitalized yesterday afternoon following a head-on collision that happened north of Bear Lake. Now, the crash occurred just before 5 o'clock near Ovid along Highway 89. According to the Idaho State Police, a GMC van that was being driven by a Montpelier man collided with a southbound GMC SUV driven by a local teenager. Now, the 72-year-old died at the scene. Emergency crews transported the juvenile to Bear Lake Memorial Hospital in Montpelier. Authorities have not released the identities of either involved, pending notification of family. Now, police confirm, though, that both drivers were wearing their seatbelts at the time of the collision and are now investigating the crash further. And attorneys for Tyler Robinson, the man accused of murdering conservative influencer Charlie Kirk, are now seeking to prevent further ballistic testing that they fear could destroy crucial evidence. Now, Robinson faces the death penalty for the September 10th fatal shooting of Kirk at Utah Valley University. According to a recently unsealed defense motion, a September ATF report could not conclusively link the bullet fragment recovered during Kirk's autopsy to the rifle that was found with Robinson. Now, prosecutors later notified the defense of plans to send the fragment to the FBI for additional testing, noting, though, that the process could physically alter the fragment. Now, defense attorneys argue that this would violate Robinson's due process rights, stating that the inclusive findings could be exculpatory. Now, the defense is asking the court to allow an independent expert to examine and photograph the fragment before the FBI's analysis or to be present to observe the testing. Well, it's going to be a beautiful weekend, but cold temperatures still coming for tonight, as we've only been in the mid-40s today. Tonight we'll drop into the mid-20s. Tomorrow, getting into the low 50s, as we'll continue to see sunny weather Saturday and Sunday. And by Sunday, should be in the low 70s, mid-70s, coming for the first of next week. And weather this hour brought to you by Mountain Valley Heating. They can help improve the air quality in your home with a free in-home air quality assessment. Call Mountain Valley Heating and Air today at 435-753-5170. And I'm Will Feelright for KVNU News.
ABC News, I'm Mike Dabusky. Both Iran and the United States today announced the Strait of Hormuz is open to shipping. Delegations from both countries are expected to meet for peace talks in the coming days. But for the moment, the U.S. Navy is still blockading Iranian ports. President Trump speaking moments ago.
When the agreement is signed, the blockade ends. As soon as the agreement gets signed, that's when the blockade ends.
The singer David, whose full name is David Burke, is now under arrest in Los Angeles. Last year, authorities discovered the body of a 14-year-old girl in the trunk of his car.
We are told that this is not an indictment from that grand jury. This is evidence being put together by the LAPD, and that they believe they have probable cause to make this arrest, and they will be presenting the evidence to the LA County District Attorney on Monday for the DA to decide on charges.
ABC's Alex Stone. Burke is being held without bail in Los Angeles. His lawyers say he's not responsible for that girl's death. This is ABC News.
There are moments that shape a lifetime, from first plans to first steps, backyard throws to big wins. And for the biggest decisions, who you choose matters. Where life starts, home begins. Bank of Utah Home Loans. Find out how Bank of Utah can serve you by going to bankofutah.com. Bank of Utah is an equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS number 422914.
Bringing Wall Street to Main Street. From your local experts in downtown Logan, this is the Adams Wealth Advisors Market Report.
From ABC News, Wall Street now. Major market indexes up on Iran's declaration that the Strait of Hormuz is again open to commercial tankers carrying crude oil from the Persian Gulf. The Dow was up 869 points at Friday's close of trading. The S&P 500 was up 85 points, and the Nasdaq rose 366 points. News of the reopened strait sent the price of oil plunging Friday, at one point dipping below $82 a barrel. Netflix shares fell on news that co-founder and chairman Reed Hastings will step down from the streaming service's board of directors at the end of his term in June. Hastings served as Netflix CEO for more than 20 years until 2023. Air Canada says it will temporarily suspend Toronto and Montreal flights to New York City's JFK Airport starting June 1st due to rising fuel costs linked to the Iran conflict. The airline says it expects to resume service in October, and affected passengers will be rebooked. I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
That's your update from Adams Wealth Advisors, guiding your financial future one day at a time. For personalized help planning yours, reach out to us at 435-752-1702. See you soon, Cache Valley. Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com.
This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance, and we are now Alera Group. This is great news for you. Now you have more choices and strength of a top national broker in your corner with our local personal service. Every situation is unique. Now we can tailor coverages from deductibles and limits to risk management, so it fits you even better. Let's compare options and tighten your program. Same friendly faces, same local office. Call 435-752-0101.
The Spring Open House is going on this weekend at Anderson Seed and Garden. We've been joking with Mark Anderson. It may not exactly feel like spring yesterday, but we've got 70-degree temperatures coming next week, and it's a great time to plant. As I was coming into the store, Mark, I noticed you just got a huge selection of raspberries and strawberries in.
We did. We just got a shipment from back east on raspberries. So we have Joan J. back in stock. We have Heritage. We have Polana. We've got Novus. We've got Everbearing and June-bearing raspberries, and we sell them in bundles of 5 or in bundles of 10 if you want to get a whole bunch of them. And they are gorgeous-looking plants, and they're just ready to be transplanted right now. And we did get a couple different varieties of strawberries in as well, too. So we got some Seascape, some Albion, and we also have Beauty. And then I think for our June-bearing, we have Honey Eye back in stock again. So we're excited to have a lot of great plants. Bare root, the prices are great. Plants look really good. And with the cool weather right now, come in and get what you need to take advantage of the great weather that's coming next week.
Yeah, a great time, because with all the moisture that we're getting, once you put those plants in, a little fertilizer, maybe some root stimulator, and they will take off.
Yeah, some Bigfoot for sure. So if you come in and you come and look at some of our bare root plants, you can see that we've got Bigfoot in the containers for the plants to get established in, and the root systems are just going crazy in there right now. So they look, the plants that we're pulling out of the large containers of bare root, the root systems have already taken off, and it's perfect time to get those planted and get them going. So weather couldn't be any better to be out planting and enjoying the outside.
Yeah, so come on out and enjoy the Spring Open House. This continues through the weekend, through tomorrow night. We're at Anderson Seed and Garden, 69 West Center in downtown Logan.
for the people. We're just a week away from the big statewide political party nominating conventions. This is going to be, I don't know, a fight's maybe not the best way to put it, but it's going to be contentious when these actually get underway. Both parties this go around. Usually it's just the Republicans, right? But Democrats with Congressional District 1 in play for them, they are entering into their own, pretty heated nomination contest battle between State Senator Nate Bluen and former Democratic Congressman from Utah, Ben McAdams, who was also former Salt Lake County Mayor and former state senator from Salt Lake. This is a pretty bitter battle that they have going underway. For the Utah GOP, there are several. The only one, I guess, everyone cares about most here in northern Utah, of course, is the District 2 race, which is between incumbent Congressman Blake Moore and challenger State Representative Carrie Ann Lisenby. We've had a chance to talk with both of them here on our show. If you haven't heard those interviews, they are available via the podcast link. And that race is going, I predict, I could be wrong, I have been before, but I predict that there is going to be a primary in that one. If I was forced now to make my prediction, I would say that on Saturday, April 25th, the statewide nominating convention delegates either split the ticket and give them both support, but not enough for either one of them to shut it down at convention. And then they'll move to the primary, which Blake Moore was already going to be in one way or another because he got the signatures to get on the ballot. I guess so. Another way this could play out is I could be wrong about some of because most of the excitement I'm seeing for Carrie Ann Lisenby is online. And sometimes with Utah GOP delegates, that's reflective. Other times it's proven not to be. The whole Twitter isn't real life thing. It's almost always true. There have been a couple of times when it's been true just for Utah GOP delegates, not Utah GOP voters at large. But I would say odds are probably highest that it ends up split, but with no one having a clear enough majority to avoid a primary. And so the Blake Moore, Carrie Lisenby nomination battle plays out until the end of June in a primary. That's my prediction. Now, there also is a chance because this happened when he was first elected. Congressman Blake Moore goes to convention and just knocks it out of the park. And Carrie Ann's campaign is done by that afternoon when delegates say, no, we want Moore to be the nominee again. So we'll see how this plays out, but it is going to play out on April 25th. Ahead of then, there aren't really a lot of tea leaves to read on this race. A lot of people have been asking what I'm hearing, assuming that I'm, always hearing rumors, and I am, but none of them are credible enough to repeat right now in this race. I do know that the mood out there seems to be that Lisenby hasn't helped herself with some kind of reaches in some of the shots she's taken at Moore. That's one of the kind of rumors I'm hearing going around, is that people were excited about her at first, but she's kind of overreached a couple of times in criticisms of Blake Moore, and that's pushed people away. And then I've also heard that in the Davis County area of the district, there's a large contingent of delegates excited to vote for her at the convention, which would make sense. That's where she's from, is Davis County. So she's seeking to represent a district that spans from Davis County over to, up here to Box Elder and Cache, Weber in there too, and then over to Rich County. They've both toured the district. Moore is touring again. I think, yeah, actually, I forgot. So Congressman Blake Moore will actually be, I believe, here in Cache Valley at, let me double check the time here because I'd completely forgotten this was coming up this weekend. I want to make sure people know that it's an option. Yes. So I posted this to our Facebook page. They're also planning after, if this goes to a primary, they'll be planning many, many events. So plenty of opportunities for you to get to know them. But again, not a lot of tea leaves to read. So here's the only one that we could really look at. And this, I think, is more of a factor if it goes, which I predict it will, to a balloted primary. But Congressman Blake Moore is wiping the floor with Lisonbe's campaign when it comes to donor support from here in Utah. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean a win. It usually does, though. And it does imply early support from some pretty noteworthy groups. I think the most noteworthy, this is actually a national organization, but they have a big footprint here, especially in conservative circles and hunting and outdoor circles here in Utah. But the National Shooting Sports Foundation made a really big deal of, this is a firearms industry trade association, and they contributed $2,500 to Congressman Moore's reelection, and then they made a gigantic deal out of it. They held a press conference. They had an event somewhere here in the district. I forget where. They really wanted people to know that they support Congressman Moore's reelection. And they said that he's been a quote from their press release I'm looking at here, said he's been a champion of outdoor recreation, firearms-related outdoor recreation, hunting, shooting, all of that. And so they made a big deal out of that. Other industries, he's gotten support from a smaller donation, a $1,000 donation from Blue Cross Blue Shield, a $5,000 donation maxed out from the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors. That's a pretty important group in legislative circles here in Utah. Outside of the state, he also, of course, has the endorsement of the president, President Donald Trump. Both said you should reelect, that he urged Republican delegates here in Utah and Republican voters, if it goes to a primary, to reelect Congressman Moore. But then he also gave him a shout out at the State of the Union, not by name, pointed to him and said, the tall guy from Utah. I thought that was pretty funny. Moore also has the endorsement of U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson. And although after the FISA stuff late last night when everyone was asleep, that Johnson endorsement might not help a Republican right now in any state. I'm kidding. I'm sure he'll be fine. But he's not the most popular speaker right now with a lot of Republicans in the House. If you want, we'll talk about that a different day. That's kind of inside baseball for FISA and government surveillance nerds. But there was a 2 a.m. vote last night where they tried to pull a fast one. Mike Johnson did, and House reps aren't happy with him over it. Anyway, and finally, Moore has the endorsement of United States Representative Jim Jordan, a popular among the online conservative groups, at least as far as I'm seeing. So Jordan, by the way, also donated $4,000 from his own reelection campaign to Congressman Moore's. Oftentimes you'll see this happen as a sign of solidarity and friendship. So where does the fundraising stand overall? Well, this year, since January, Congressman Moore, Carrie Ann Lisonbe has raised about $150,000, $149,600. Not bad for someone in the legislature and running for federal office the first time, $150,000. Congressman Moore, though, since January has raised $500,000. $486,000, and that's on top of the $1.5 million he still had in his campaign, in his reelection funds from last go round. So, I would say the support is pretty strong for Congressman Moore. Definitely an uphill battle for Lisonbe, but these things can be unpredictable. And unfortunately, this FEC report that we got today is literally the only tea leaf that you're going to find out there. No one's going to pull this race. I wish we saw more polling in Utah, but no one's going to pull this race. We might see one state poll from maybe the Deseret News or something like that if it goes to a primary, but it's really difficult to pull delegates. So we won't see any polling ahead of the April 25th state convention. Lisenby has pulled out some big names locally in endorsements. She got the endorsement of House Speaker Mike Schultz, who I kind of feel bad now because she got that endorsement, and I spent the first half of the hour basically yelling at him. But man, what an embarrassing last 24 hours it's been for legislative leadership. Anyway, I won't go back to that rant. She also got a donation from Mike Schultz. He maxed out on Lisenby, $3,500 from the Speaker's candidate committee, and she also got a lot of money from a lot of other state representatives. Basically, is what I'm getting at here. Rex Shipp, Corey Malloy, and Bridger Bollinger of Grantsville. Not many from the district, which could hurt her. That she doesn't have more endorsements to tout from the district she lives in and is running for, but that's kind of unfair to her in a way because most of the legislature is not from here. The more populous areas of the state send more people to the legislature. So, interestingly enough, Peter Crosby, an adjunct professor at Utah State University, is on the list here. People may not know that. He's running as the Democrat in this race. And I was surprised to learn this from the filings today that the general election race hasn't even begun, not even close. And that is already, he's already raised about $10,000. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, like I say, not a lot of tea leaves you can read in this one, but that's the best we have, the FEC report out today. And we'll see how this pans out. Again, the nominating convention April 25th for both the Utah Democratic Party and Utah Republican parties. And then I predict here in District 2, the race between Congressman Blake Moore and challenger Carrie Ann Lisenby will probably go to a primary and play out, which will be end of June, the voting day on that. So stick around. More For the People right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
Hey, come on out this afternoon. We are live at Anderson Seed and Garden for the Spring Open House. It continues till 6 o'clock tonight and all day tomorrow. Of course, Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden here with us. And, Mark, with it being a little colder, a lot of people say, nope, can't do any yard work right now. But it turns out this is actually a great time to get on top of weeds.
It really is. And, we don't mind it being not great weather during the open house because then the great weather's coming next week. So you can come in and get all the stuff you need right now for the great weather next week. And one of those things you can do once this storm kind of blows through is you can really get after weeds. And weeds have been horrific this year with the nice weather. We've got grasses and we've got weeds just popping up all over the place. And here at Anderson's, we have some really good cold weather like weed herbicides, weed killers that are going to control those weeds without having to be 80 degrees outside. So where it comes to like broadleaf weeds in your turf, weed-free zone will take care of all kinds of weeds. Doesn't hurt your grass, so it won't bother turf, but it works in daytime temperatures as low as 45 degrees. So at 45 degrees, you can start spraying and watch the dandelions and the morning glory and the thistles and the mallow all start to curl up and die, which is so satisfying.
Now, what about, for example, we have a little gravel patch. It's kind of a RV pad, and we'd always get grasses coming up through that. And I noticed you brought over a product that we've tried several times, just the standard Killzall or Decimate. How does that work with it?
Yeah, so the great thing about Killzall and also Decimate is they kill weeds and grasses, both. So this is one that you can be very strategic and very precise with if you are trying to get in and around plants you want to keep. But if you want to get rid of everything in one area, like, say, around your shed or on your patio or in that parking area where you park your RV, this is a great product to kill everything that's in there without damaging your surrounding plants. And it will kill broadleaf weeds like morning glory and puncture vine and goat heads and all those real evil broadleaf weeds, but it will also take care of grasses